What do you think? Huh? What do you mean, why am I wearing this ridiculous hat? We're starting to study Russia. Okay, fine. You don't like that one? How about, oh, no. I've got a better idea. Let's do the snap trick. And you like this one better? Actually, I can't hear anything. Am I talking right now? All right. Here we go, guys. Welcome to the Alyosha Society, where we pursue truth, beauty, and goodness through great literature. We're starting a new one here, friends. We're starting a new one. We are starting, and I'm just going to tell you ahead of time. I'm going to walk you through this. This is what I'm going to call our stretch novel. It's actually not a novel. It's actually a novella. It's so short, but it's philosophically a little heavy. Okay. But so I'm just warning you, I saved it to the kind of the end, right, of the course. And it's going to be philosophically challenging. So I'm just kind of warning you about that ahead of time. Let's take a peek, or as my parents used to say, let's take a gander at what is going on over here. So this is a work by a Russian author named Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor Dostoevsky. He lived throughout most of the 19th century. We're going to cover all the background, the bio, the history, and all of that. But let me give you, you knew it was coming, didn't you? Ah, yes, the ever famous outline of videos. So 10 videos here on Notes from Underground. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You know, 3 introductory video. Yeah, yes. For this little, I mean, this thing is barely 100 pages. Yeah, trust me. It's heavy philosophically. So I'm going to have three introductory videos. And I want you to take a look at how the outline of the videos goes from there. Now, the version that I'm using is the Penguin Classic. Looks just like this. Okay. Again, I'm going to put the ISBNs up on the website. So hopefully you'll be able to get the same version. There are actually 2 books in this one volume. So if you're thinking, wait, Bruce, that looks like a no, this is not a hefty book at all. We're barely reading. It's about 100 and maybe 110 pages. It's not very long at all. But I want to show you the way Notes from Underground is divided up is into 2 big chapters that are like 50 pages each. And then within those chapters, they're just kind of numbered, and the numbers are right above the paragraph breaks. So you'll see here that, for example, for video number 4, before you watch video number 4, you want to start from the beginning, and you're going to read 7 of those little sections. They're numbered off. And if you don't have this version, I really hope that you have a version that has them numbered off like that. Otherwise, this is going to be a little difficult. You may just have to sort of like read all of chapter 1, then read all of chapter 2. So if that does not make sense to you, you should send me an email, bruce@alyoshasociety.com, and I'll help you work through it. But take a screenshot of this, write it down, do whatever it is that you do. This is our outline of videos for the next 10 lessons. So take note of it. All right, remember our toolbox. We always want to go to our toolbox before we start reading a book to see which tools are we going to pull out of the old toolbox first. Looks like it's going to be historical context and biographical context. The other tools in the toolbox, we'll pull those out in the next lesson. The good old faithful genre questions. We will be talking about literary devices later, and then remember the story arc, the elements of a plot. So we're going to be doing historical context first, right now, then biographical context, the life of Dostoevsky. Now, friends, listen. I would say that there are a few novels that we're reading this year in which the historical context is more important. This is absolutely just not really comprehensible if you don't have a pretty decent understanding of Russia's past, Russia's history, and specifically the philosophical, cultural context in which it was written. So focus, focus, focus with me. Some of the things we're going to be going over, you're going to think, oh, why in the world do I need to know that Vladimir became a Christian in 987 AD? Just trust me. I'm just going to need you to trust me. All right. So let's get right to it. These are some of the really cool characters we're going to be talking about. Ooh, we got Alexander the First, we got Peter the Great, Catherine the Great, Ivan the Terrible. So let's take a look at a brief history of Russia. Now, look, you don't need to know every detail that I'm going to be sharing with you. So what I did was I made some slides and I basically kind of highlighted in red, like, you really need to know this. So, you know, it's good if you know everything else, but here's what you really, really, really need to know. So first of all, I want you to take a look at just how enormous Russia is. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize what a gigantuan nation Russia is. When you look at the entire world, the chunk of land that Russia takes up is significant. And right now, as I'm making this video, Russia is in the news every single day. Russia is a very powerful nation. Russia has always been, quite honestly, a fairly formidable foe, a force in the world. But we here in the United States, a lot of times I don't think we spend a whole lot of time learning about Russia's history, Russia's past. It's kind of important. And there are a lot of things that I think it would be good for us to know. So when did Russia come into existence? Well, if you think the United States is old, you know, we're a little bit over 200 years old. Well, yeah, that ain't nothing. Yeah, so yeah, 862 AD, the Viking Rurik founds Russia in what is now the western part. So most of the population in Russia is over on the west. So if you look at Russia and you think, let's see, over on the right side, that would be like New Jersey and Washington, D.C. Over on the left side, that would be our equivalent of, you know, California. All right, it's the California part of Russia, where the other part of Russia, there's just thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of frozen tundra. And there's a lot of Russia that's actually not inhabited. But anyway, it's founded right here in this western portion in 862. So in other words, the point here, guys, Russia has been around for a very long time. Just as important as that, this may come as a shock to you because we don't think of Russia like this today. But in the year 987 AD, the Rus ruler Vladimir became a Christian, was baptized into the Christian church. Okay, big deal, Bruce. What is that? No, that's a huge deal. What that means is that Russia will identify as a Christian nation for hundreds of years to come, hundreds of years. It is only in recent history, my friends, in the last 100 years, that Russia is not recognized as a Christian nation. That's actually a more recent development. You're thinking, Bruce, what about communism and atheism? And yeah, I know. That's all very recent. Throughout most of Russia's history, overwhelmingly, Russia was a Christian nation. Now, in the middle of all that, the Mongols kind of steamrolled across all of Asia and parts of modern day Europe and what is the land mass that we now call Russia. These are folks from what we would now call China. But here's what's fascinating. In the sovereignty of God, the Mongols actually allowed the Rus, the Russians, to continue practicing their Christian faith. That's really important because what that means is that this faith that began with Vladimir in the 10th century was allowed to continue. See, the Mongols could have just wiped it out, and then Russia would not continue on as a Christian nation, but that didn't happen. So let's move on. The Mongols eventually are reconquered, I guess you could say, in 1480. The reign of one of these princes that I was talking about in the last section, Ivan III, the new Russian state was born, and then Ivan conquers the Mongols. And some historians would even say, yeah, this is kind of like the official birth of Russia, sort of. So 1480. So you could say 986, you could say 862, you know, there are different dates that mark different events. But here's definitely an important landmark in Russia's history. Ivan IV, also known as Ivan the Awe-inspiring or Ivan the Awesome, he took the title Tsar. And that was really important because now we see not only is Russia a Christian nation, but it kind of sort of starts to have this sense of more of a monarchy with one person who's ruling the land. And look, Ivan looked at Russia and he looked at the Old Testament kings and he thought, that's kind of what I am. God put, remember divine right of kings? We talked about that in previous books. God put me here. I'm in control. All right, time of troubles. I'm not going to dwell on that. I really am trying to hit the highlights for you here, guys, okay? Now, Peter the Great is important. Russia experiences the greatest transformation when Peter the Great seeks to, quote, westernize Russia. Okay, look at the dates. You should be thinking, hey, Bruce, when Peter the Great was ruling Russia, the Enlightenment was going on in other parts of Europe. Yeah. So those Enlightenment ideals are going to kind of creep over into Russia. I have gone over them. And remember, worldview car, medieval man, speed bumps in the tunnel. I'm not going to keep doing that. Enlightenment, age of reason, focus on logic, science, not so much the Bible as the final authority, more of a deistic view of God. So what happens is Peter the Great looks over at Europe and he sees these Enlightenment ideals going on and he thinks, oh, yes, Russia needs to be enlightened. And so Peter the Great seeks to, quote, westernize. Now, westernize doesn't mean turn everybody into cowboys. It's not that kind of Western. It's Western as in Europe, as in, oh, look at those Enlightenment philosophical ideas going on. We need to bring that here. And then the tension really intensifies between the Christian aspect of Russia and this not so Christian aspect of Russia, this westernizing tendency to focus more on reason, logic, science. Peter, you know, he really wanted to turn Russia into kind of a superpower, but, you know, those traditional, conservative, Orthodox Christian folks thought to themselves, we don't like this. We don't like the fact that Peter is bringing non-Christian ideas into Russia because you're going to undermine our centuries-old faith, the Christian faith and morality. And so the debate intensifies as to trying to answer this question. And listen, Vladimir Putin is still trying to answer this question, to be honest with you, today. And that is this. Is Russia east or west? Which is it? Is Russia really traditionally conservative and Christian, or is it going to go more the route that Europe has gone, which is basically thrown off the Christian faith? That tension is tremendously important for you to understand to get this novel or any Dostoevsky that you read. And I hope you'll read a lot of Dostoevsky well beyond Notes from Underground. All right, next important character we have here. Where can I put myself? Let's go to the corner here. Catherine the Great. So as this tension continues in the the latter part of the 18th century, now think about it, this would be during the time of the founding of the United States. So at the very same time that Thomas Jefferson is writing the Declaration of Independence, at the very same time that James Madison is writing the United States Constitution, that we're fighting the Revolutionary War, all that, George Washington, the whole Benjamin Franklin, the whole thing. While all of that is going on, Catherine the Great is ruling Russia. Now, what's important about Catherine is that she was actually German. She was actually German. Now, how did a German come to rule Russia? Well, she was married to Peter III. And when he died, she became the ruler and she ascended to the throne. Peter was actually murdered. I mean, it wasn't necessarily intended for a German person to be ruling Russia, but that's what happened. So what did Catherine do? Let me take it away. Is she going to push Russia to the east or to the west? Are we going to be more like Europe, or are we going to go the more Christian route? Oh, flip the coin. Oh, guys, the hint should have been that Catherine was German. Yes, of course, she's going to push enlightenment. In fact, she was a highly intelligent lady. She read the Enlightenment thinkers, Voltaire. There's even evidence that she was actually letter writing back and forth with Voltaire, and even had some connections with Benjamin Franklin. So Catherine is definitely going to push Russia more towards the westernizing tendency. And I'm going to throw a new word out to you here, as opposed to what we're going to call the Slavophile tendency. Slav, referring to the Russian people. Philos just means one who loves. So a Slavophile is someone who loves all things Slavic or Russian. So a Slavophile would be a more conservative, traditional, in favor of the Orthodox Christian faith, as opposed to a Westernizer, boo, Westernizers, who are trying to make Russia more like Europe, more Western, more Enlightenment, and moving away from Christian ideals. Now, what I decided is that some of my previous videos have been getting a little bit long, so I'm cutting. That's why I'm doing 3 introductory videos, because I didn't want to have, 2 45-minute videos. So here's the outline. Again, we got 2 more introductory videos. Then we're going to dive in to Notes from Underground. Remember, I told you at the beginning, this is a little bit of a heavy work philosophically. So I want to just do due diligence, even if I have to go overboard in giving you introduction and philosophical context. So when we get into it, hoping it'll make a lot more sense. All right, next video, we're going to finish the history and get into some biography. See you then.